back. Bedak.
Coke, so it's different. Coke.
Trump is less of the issue and more so the people that support him, like Die Hard. They facilitate that kind of like hate, I think, for a lot of people, not just black people, but like.
I mean, this man took out like a full page in a newspaper calling for the public execution of 5 black kids. His hotels, all of his businesses have rampant history of denying black people apartments or whatever. So
I forgot about that.
Look, I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump, so I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like super rich or whatever.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, the comments he made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base to get elected. I don't necessarily. The plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, the comments he made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base to get elected. I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, oh, if you pray 5 times a day towards the east or towards Mega based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. And he was saying you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings. Maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
Yeah. I supported Trump because
if you are a radical person in the Muslim community,
I don't think
if you
he was
are
ever saying specifically, if you pray 5 times a day
extremist
towards the east or towards
organization,
Mega based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying you like to fly planes into
like
towers.
ISIS or.
They say to rile up his
Not
base.
all Muslims
I don't
are
necessarily think
terrorists.
those statements come from a
Not
place of
all
hatred.
Muslims.
I don't think he was
Not
ever
all
saying
Middle Easterners
specifically,
are terrorists.
if you pray 5 times a day towards the east or
To
towards Mega
Allah.
based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings. Maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because
Run this back.
They say to rile up his base to get elected.
Flying
I
to
don't
the towers,
necessarily
that's a
think those
reference to
statements come from a
9/11.
place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically,
into the Twin
if you pray
Towers
5 times a day
in
towards
New
the
York.
east or towards Mega based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings.
ISIS
Maybe you're not the most
beheaded.
virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because he made he made the economy good, and so the economy
That's
then
facts.
impacted black people, white people,
Yep.
Latino
Different
people.
people.
It impacted everybody.
Various
But Trump,
groups.
he didn't
Every
think
group.
specifically, I don't think, about black people.
Yeah.
He thought about himself.
He's not
And he
focused
thought
on
about,
just.
how can I make America great
Yeah.
for me?
He's not focused
And
on just
making-
blacks.
and
But
I'm
he has
like,
no
you know
hate
what?
against
I'm gonna
blacks.
go with this guy.
Those
The reason I'm
two
gonna go with this
different
guy
things.
is because
Those are
if
two
he can
different
make
things.
America great and he
For
can make
every
that
group.
it rise for everybody, I'm
Yeah.
gonna benefit from that. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
Yeah.
How does that specifically benefit black people? Again, he's a businessman, but he's also a racist businessman. Like,
How is he racist, bro?
So, like, I just.
And Biden's not. Biden's
You
not.
gotta be
supporting
Yes,
consistent.
he is. He created the crime bill. So that.
Yeah, a lot of people, they fail to talk about the BS that Biden is on, bro.
And that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
The
How does that
inconsistency is
specifically
crazy,
benefit
bro.
Black people. Again, he's a businessman.
Biden's
he's
a
also
cornball.
racist businessman. Like, well documented.
Biden is
So,
Biden
like,
is a
I
racist,
just-
bro.
And Biden's not. Biden's not.
Yes, he is. He created
There's
the crime
evidence
bill.
to show that
So
he
that's-
is
but
racist.
That's regardless of the
Well, address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought up, right? How do you feel about that?
Well,
He put that
actually,
whole page up after
okay.
they were
So
exonerated.
I have
He
a
wanted them
detail.
to be killed,
Well,
executed, just because they were black. And
That dude Biden is a cornball, bro. He told Charlemagne that if you don't, that the black people who don't know if they want to vote for Biden or Trump are not black. That's crazy, bro. Biden, yeah, that's terrible, bro.
I think specifically, I don't
Biden,
think about
he's a
black
sucker.
people. He thought
He's a
about
sucker, bro.
himself, and he thought about how can I make
And it's
America
crazy that
great
Charlemagne did not
for
check
me?
that cornball, bro.
And making him, and
Charlemagne's a
I'm like,
weirdo
you know what?
too.
I'm gonna go with this guy. The reason I'm gonna go with this guy is because if he can make
Charlotte
America great
the
for
fraud,
him,
not
and he
Charlotte
can
the
make that
God.
it rise for everybody, I'm gonna benefit from that. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
but how does that specifically benefit black people? Again, he's a businessman, but he's also a racist businessman. Like, well documented. So like, I just.
And Biden's not.
Mm.
Biden's not.
Yes, he is. He created the crime bill. So that's regardless of the
Well, address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought
He
up,
said,
right?
yo,
How do you
Biden.
feel about that?
Well,
He took that whole
actually,
page out.
okay, so I have
He wanted them to be
Biden
killed.
said words like racial jungle, crazy, bro. He doesn't. Yeah. Biden doesn't have love for blacks, bro. He doesn't, bro.
So that's regardless of the
Well,
point.
address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought up, right? How do you feel about that?
Well,
He took that whole
actually,
page out.
okay,
They were
so I have
He wanted them to be killed,
well,
executed, just because they were black. And he bars people from attending his businesses or like renting apartments from all his like stupid Trump towers. I think Trump at that point was like many people in this room, particularly liberals, a victim of the media. I think he was scared. I think he was ashamed of the things that he heard in the news and wanted to take action himself as a businessman, not as a.
Why are you infantilizing him?
I don't like also real quick. People keep bringing up this comparison to the '93 crime bill from Biden. That crime bill.
I thought it was 94. Are they saying
violent crime and the crack epidemic in the
was
United
it 93 or 94? I thought it was 94.
Supported that crime bill.
If my memory is
Everybody in the
right.
United States supported that crime bill. The idea that that crime bill was like some racist piece of legislation that Biden just wheeling out because he hates black people, and that's somehow comparable to the Donald Trump's treatment of the Central Park 5 that were already exonerated. That wasn't a victim of the media. The media said they were done. They were exonerated in court. They weren't there.
as I understand it, the prosecutor of the five, he was a black guy, and so in being a black guy, he went in, he looked at all the evidence and said these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black
Or
people.
just make mistakes.
So if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park 5, even if they themselves are a black person, they're just a self-loathing black person, they're just a racist black person.
If they disagree
That
with me, they're
prosecutor was
racist.
doing his job.
That's my policy. If they disagree with me, they're racist.
Yo, Chandler's cooking, bro. Chandler is cooking.
But if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park 5, even if they themselves are a black person, they're just a self-loathing black person, they're just a racist
They're
black person.
cooning.
They disagree
That
with me,
prosecutor
they're
was
racist.
doing his
They're
job.
betraying their race,
That's my
quote
policy. If they
unquote.
disagree with me, they're racist.
I like that.
That's what this white liberal thinks.
But if anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the
It's
Central Park
crazy,
5,
bro.
even if they themselves are a black
Indubitably
person,
crazy.
they're just a self-loathing black person, they're just a racist black person.
If they disagree
That
with me, they're
prosecutor was
racist.
doing his job.
That's my policy. If they disagree with me, they're racist.
I like that.
I think Trump has shown a history of ignorant at best and racist at worst behavior. I didn't vote for him or Hillary because I just don't see him as a conservative hero. I don't even think he's a conservative.
I blindly voted for Hillary.
2016, just so you all know. So I'm just saying.
I thought
I need
that
to
just
I
because
need
she
to
is
elaborate on if
is
people disagree
democratic.
with you, they're racist, just in general. I was just
that it means that she's automatically that it means
I
that
voted Trump in 2016,
that it means that
just so
she's
you all know.
automatically
So,
good.
I'm just
automatically
saying, so
good.
I need you to elaborate on if
Just because you are a democratic politician, that doesn't mean that you are good.
Behavior. I didn't vote for him or Hillary because I just don't see him as a conservative hero. I don't even think he's a conservative.
fake conservative. I voted Trump in 2016, just so you all know. So I'm just saying. So I need you to elaborate on if people disagree with you, they're racist, just in general. I was just.
He's just
You never know. Sorry about your. I'm sorry.
You made a point. You made a point a couple of minutes back where you said he just kind of says these things to rile up his base. Why does he need to do that at the expense of black people then? He doesn't do that. I am a member of his base, and I'm sitting there like, oh man, this is amazing. And I don't know, you can call me self-loathing, So you're saying calling for the public execution of 5 black men that were exonerated to
When has
rile
he
up
done
his
that during the
base?
campaign trail? He didn't do that when he was a politician.
Well,
He did that when
again,
he was scared
it's everything.
in New York.
It's everything Steve said about the comments about Muslims, the comments about Mexican immigrants. Why does he
Never about Mexican immigrants, never about Muslims, about terrorists and about criminals and rapists. These are very important delineations to make. And if you believe
I
that
think
when
you
you attend the media
understand,
about,
or
it's
I
all
think
Mexican immigrants, I think it's more of you being, oh man, these poor Mexicans, they need to be supported. It's more of that savior complex. Wow,
What was
we're
the
back
rationale
again.
behind axing or trying to axe DACA? These people were registered with the federal government, they were in school, they were doing everything that they needed to do. They had no home elsewhere. They were brought into this country as minors. Like, what's the explanation?
I think that requires more nuance. Like I mentioned before, I think there were some
for their
people.
education.
I think there were some people feeding him bad policy advice, thinking, "Oh, this will be really good for your base." And he's doing a lot as a
Justin,
president.
That's okay. That's okay if you feel that way.
So
but,
if I take responsibility for something, if I say he has responsibility for something, well then you're right. But if I'm saying, well maybe there's some people around him advising him falsely,
Dude,
it's infantilizing.
he was the president.
There's no good way.
He called the shots. What are you talking about?
only path forward to solving
as people coming in, I do think we need stronger borders and actual like vetting happening.
And I just want to say,
There needs to be legal immigration. Legal immigration.
Only path forward to solving illegal immigration starts with amnesty for everybody here. The reality is there's some 10 to 15 billion illegal immigrants here. We're not deporting them all.
With the people who are already here, that's a lot more of a messy, nuanced conversation. But as far as people coming in, I do think we need stronger borders and actual like vetting happening.
And I just want to say,
Go through a
Ronald
legal
Reagan,
process.
he was given the promise.
to
He said, look, if you
gain
go ahead
and
and pass
earn
a particular bill,
that citizenship.
we'll give these people amnesty and we're done. And it didn't happen. We didn't. Illegal immigration continued even after Reagan already said we would give these people amnesty. So that's why we get a burn up our butt, because he had already done it.
Hopefully the devil's giving an amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
No, that's base. Thank you. Ninth circle, baby.
My political beliefs have changed from the past.
Yes. If I was there, I would
I
have
grew up
walked
in a
forward.
conservative household,
Walked
actually,
forward.
in Ohio.
Forward.
And my parents were always pretty political, so
Everybody walked
I
forward.
always stayed political. I was very religious as a teenager. Sometime during college and then afterwards, especially during COVID, my sister actually indoctrinated me into a more leftist position. And I overcorrected a little bit. I started becoming pretty cringy as far as sit down and let the minorities all talk, right? Don't say anything, don't speak over them, etc. They were, it was like the whole you can't speak over Candace Owens even if she's literally a Nazi kind of thing. So I stand by that. So yeah, I kind of leveled out thankfully, and I'm less cringe now. And
Are you?
I cringe.
This is level down. Imagine you would have been here a year ago.
I mean, maybe I am being cringy here.
So I grew up conservative, but I did have more left-leaning ideas about like Black Lives Matter and critical race theory, and I was I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I did agree that Black people were oppressed and all of these different things.
I used to believe the same stuff.
And during
I was
2020,
programmed. I was a bot.
There was, everything crazy was happening, and I started organizing rallies against the mandates because I thought that they were just totally unconstitutional and un-American. And then George Floyd dies, and initially I was like enraged like everybody else, and then it started to become this weird like political like agenda masquerading or behind his face. Like the face of what was actually happening started to peel off, and I was like, oh, I mean, I would counter protest BLM activists at my town square when I lived in Texas, and they were some of the most just bitter, vile, horrible people you could ever meet. Meanwhile, like the Confederate groups that would protest there against them also, they were like the nicest people ever. Ironically.
Yeah, bro. The people that purport to be tolerant are not tolerant.
Bitter, vile, horrible people you could ever meet. Meanwhile, like the Confederate group that would protest there against them also,
bigotry,
they were like the
are
nicest people
proponents
ever
of bigotry.
Ironically.
A lot of leftists are hypocrites. A lot of
bitter, vile,
BLM
horrible
people,
you
a
could
lot
ever
of
meet. Meanwhile, like the Confederate group that would
LGBTQ plus
protest
people,
there
a lot
against
of
them also, they were like the nicest people ever.
Antifa group.
Ironically.
That's a cornball group, Antifa. That group stands for fascism. It is not against fascism. It's pro-fascism.
Rage like everybody else, and then it started to become this weird like
the members they attack people who disagree, who dissent
behind
with
his
dissident
face.
opinions.
Like the face of what was actually happening started to peel off, and I was like, oh, I mean, I would counter protest BLM activists at my town square when I lived in Texas, and they were some of the most just bitter, vile, horrible people you could ever meet. Meanwhile, like the Confederate group that would protest
They
there
attack
against them
journalists.
also,
They attack
were like the
interviewers
nicest people ever.
that are conservative, that
I
have
grew up in
different opinions.
a Democratic,
It's sad, man.
not a Democratic household, but kind of apolitical, but everybody was Democrat. And then I got a job. And when I got a job and I saw all the taxes come out, and I started looking to the left and to the right and going, oh, my money's whittling away over here.
Yeah.
And I said, you know what? After Reagan, I'm just going to go ahead and declare myself a Republican, and I've been a Republican ever since.
My mom is pretty liberal. She married my stepdad when I was like 15, 16 in high school. He's super conservative, like loved Trump, diehard Trump fan. And they had a lot of like back and forth, hearing the two sides, like people who are such polar opposites, just like argue all the time about stuff. Seeing that there's a lot of similarities in both sides, like the far radical left and the far radical right, they have a lot of similarities. They just don't want to come and like see it.
I started started off actually kind of similar to you. I went to a Jesuit high school. I grew up very conservative. My mom is Cuban, so ride or die Bush supporter.
Cubana.
Ride or die Trump
Mujer
supporter. I think
cubana.
the point in my life when I was the most like libertarian was probably the lowest point of my life financially. And I think it's because something that conservatives do really well is they make you feel like you can always like succeed as long as you work hard enough. And that's something that progressives and liberals suck at. That you're a victim of systemic racism, you're black, so you're going to be discriminated against, you're a woman, so nobody's going to care about your feelings.
Won't be able to ascend because of your color.
Tell you, listen, you work hard, you can do whatever you want, like just as long as you're willing to put in the work. And
have the right mindset and the work ethic.
My house, where I had an ex-girlfriend that was pregnant, where I had been fired from my previous job. There's a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on in my life, and I very, very luckily got into online content creation.
Streaming.
And from there, as I started
one of the most successful streamers.
When I get older,
streaming,
I get taxes that come out of my paycheck. I care a little bit, but it was just so funny to me that back when I was making $15,000, $20,000 a year, I'm like, I gotta vote for the lower tax bracket, blah blah blah. Like, I'm barely paying any taxes anyway, and now that I'm older, like if the government wants to take, a few, 10, 20, whatever, how many more $1,000 out, I did, but I got very, very, very lucky doing so. Very lucky. It's not just luck, but the difference is that born into a wealthier family, you can make so many more mistakes in life. And when you're born poor, you get like one or two before your life is over, and that's really sad to me.
Yeah, so I used to be a liberal. I voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016, as much as I regret that now. My family was pretty left-wing. Some of the people in my family were like radically left, like would refer to white people as blue-eyed, redheaded devils, things of that nature. And as I got older, I actually started being really outspoken for BLM. I was supposed to be on a reality show teaching people how to be a BLM activist. At the time, I did a deep dive on BLM, and I started to realize all of these lies. So then I took a step back from like, what else am I being lied to about? And I started looking at the Democratic Party and questioning my own loyalty to being on the left.
He had that blind loyalty like I had when I was a kid.
I don't think the government is on the side of the people in general, and that's just me being a radical.
When I was young, I used to jump for joy and say, "Oh yeah, Obama, black president, and so on." The same color as me.
Yep, I used to be blinded.
The thing I was confused about is, well, why is he a Democrat? What is a Democrat?
Just because the person is black, that doesn't mean that he's good or beneficial.
There's a party switch, the Southern strategy, and all these things, which is true. Which you may say is true, I don't believe it is true at all.
It's good and bad in every race.
One of the biggest
good and bad in every
why
party.
is Obama in the same party as the people that started the KKK, the same people that voted against the Civil Rights
Fobama.
Act, the same people
I call him Fobama,
that
F-O-E.
aren't able to accomplish anything and need to be on welfare and need to be promoted with affirmative action, things of that nature.
Obama.
In terms of, I guess, of my political journey, I was raised conservative actually, and then high school became, I guess, sort of apolitical, and then throughout college, and I guess just throughout my life since then, I think I guess you can call me a progressive, you can call me, socialist, whatever you, but I guess that's, in the area of where I fall. You said that you were a Bernie fan in 2016, and then you transitioned to being, I guess, more conservative. I guess, I don't know, to me, Bernie Sanders, from what he said to what you think now, what was the shift?
For me, it was socialism, because back then I was a very broke college kid, and I just had this mentality that everything should be free, and I was feeling a bit entitled, and everything should be handed to me because I was black, because I was very much in that mentality. As I learned more about free markets, as I learned more about capitalism, I started to appreciate that much more. I started to appreciate business much more.
The ingratitude disappeared.
More regulations. I just started to like that much more. But I would say just more when it comes to economics, I don't agree with them.
Only two
When we
people
talk
walked
about reparations,
forward.
I think that doing reparations in a way that a lot of people think of it, where we just give it to black people. I'm not an expert on this, but I think it would be more income-based, and that in itself, like I said earlier, would disproportionately benefit black people, because if you recognize that they are disproportionately affected by the systemic injustice, then doing it on like a class.
This guy, he thinks systemic injustice still exists. I disagree. I don't concur.
Yeah, I think like mostly like black GIs that were left out of like the New Deal, for instance, that to be able to come back and as a white American, as a white veteran, to get a home loan and then build that generational wealth, you could not get that as a black American. So there needs to be, I think, reparations. I don't care really what form it comes from. I think free healthcare, free college, so that everyone has like an equal opportunity to educate themselves, to build a better life for themselves. So it's sort of like, and I think Germany is also a perfect model to follow. By don't issuing first of all a formal apology, which we haven't even done that, but also just like donating to like different funds, and just I think a more equitable society striving for that is reparations in and of itself.
I have no problems with reparations if they had happened initially during the like slavery or civil rights movement.
Back in the day.
But to try and do that now logistically just doesn't really make any sense. And like, where would this money come from? Like, we're in so much debt.
Facts. Trillions of dollars.
I get this money, I'm biracial or triracial. Like, mixed people get it, and like the Irish people get reparations when they were indentured servants.
Like for reparations, you can find
complicated.
specific instances of somebody being like actually deprived of something, whether specific instances of like the 40 acres and a meal promise, or whether you can find specific cases of like Chinese people building railroads or Irish people, whatever, people being deprived of things. That's okay, but otherwise, yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. There's no
it's crazy.
Yeah, America's unique because we have bent over backwards for decades now, putting minorities in a position of privilege. I feel like we have done so much to give back to the communities that were obviously wrong. And I agree with both of you. Like, had this happened a long time ago, I would understand it. If we had specific incidences that we could trace where people were just completely screwed over, I would respect it. But
true
right
ADOS.
now, I don't deserve a payment for something my great-great-great-great-grandparents went through. And I don't think that white people are responsible for paying that to me either.
I know we don't
Big
use the word virtue signaling, but it's sort of like a bribe for a vote in a way, at least in my opinion. In states like California, where they've been throwing around the idea of, we want to pay out this much money to every
white people who had nothing to do with that moral transgression shit.
In my opinion.
I think that if we impose reparations now,
white people who had nothing to do with the moral transgression that the white antecedents committed should not have to pay black people, bro.
Us apart.
Somebody money doesn't mean anything if they don't know what to do with the money or how to handle the money.
Big
so
facts.
The primary
Huge facts.
issue in black culture or with black
a lot of people
is
squander
generational trauma,
splurge.
then maybe they need more therapy than they need money, honestly.
Which conservatives are also against.
Well, that's kind of my argument. Like, if there is like that like generational trauma or whatever, like I think examples.
It's about how you use your money, not about how much you have, not about how much you make. That's what Gary Vee said.
The argument of like
it's about how you use your money, not about how much.
In this country, we usually find a way.
What you do with that money is important.
The military.
How you use it, you have to be wise and sagacious.
Multi-billion-dollar
with the money that you get.
Who's supposed to get them?
Not to attack progressive, but that is like the most progressive idea in the world. Is like I can see the headlines like reparations voted on in Congress to be paid in the form of free therapy for people in the hood. That just sounds like the funniest thing in the world. But
well, I also don't think it's gonna come directly from like white person to black person. Like your lineage affected his lineage.
It is though. Like in San Francisco, they were going to raise the average family or the average household in San Francisco was expected to pay $600,000 each. With the $5 million per black person proposal that they had.
That's crazy, bro. That's reparations are trash. I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Well, I also don't think it's gonna come directly from like white person to black person. Like your lineage affected his lineage.
It is though. Like in San Francisco, they were going to raise the average family or the average household in San Francisco was expected to pay $600,000 each. With the $5 million per black person proposal that they had. And I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was repulsed by that because you have so many homeless veterans on the streets, and they were going to give black people a home for as little as $1 just for being black. Mind you, slavery wasn't even in California. So why that was going to be the case, I don't understand. It's extremely unrealistic to think that the average family in San Francisco can afford that.
Gavin Newsom, he's a Democratic.
Care about homeless veterans, right? Like
That's just
you
a
don't support.
You don't
Facts. You don't know Xavier. How can you say that? You don't even know
So what policies
Xavier DeRusso
for homeless veterans?
There's ways to address it.
Alec is wild.
For homeless in general.
That's a whole different conversation.
Okay, let's say that we didn't find a middle ground in there.
Yeah.
But that's a great ending note.
I agree, or not. I agree that a lot, not all, but a lot of white liberals have a white savior complex. Not all. A plenitude definitely do. They it's crazy, bro. It really is. I think I will have to do a part 3. I think I will have to do a part 3.
You just come forward and admit it, but you know what? I'm happy with these results.
I respect the honesty of all 4 white liberals that walked forward.
People, of the left, whatever,
but
you kind of fall into that trap of
that white savior
thinking that black people as a monolith need to be saved as a whole.
I have no shame about it. I have a savior complex as an older brother, and I will save you whether you like it or not.
That simpery, that white
just
knighting
it's
stuff,
definitely
bars.
Because a lot of us are really just exhausted of being
Yeah.
used our skin color. Because when you
Yeah.
have this mindset that you need to save black people,
Yeah,
and we're
it's-
just sitting here fighting our own business
it's
and living
detestable.
our lives the way we
It's
want to.
deplorable.
I don't know why it is that people feel this immense pressure to
Yeah.
be so apologetic and just
Obsequious,
always cater and
placating,
coddle black people when
mollifying.
we just want to be treated like everybody else.
Yeah.
For a reason.
That's
I think
it.
especially
Full
recently
stop.
with a lot of riot stuff that's gone on or protest stuff that's gone on, people on the left tend to infantilize a lot of different types of
Condescend
protesters,
to black people.
especially even talking to some of the other black content creators I do content with. When you hear a lot
And
of progressives
say
who
that
are
they're
so, well, they don't have a
incapable of
choice but to
achieving
riot
because of
or
their
break into
color.
the store, or well, they're stealing these electronics or shoes for good reasons, you just don't realize it.
Yeah, they
And a lot of
say
people
this
kinda look both
woke-ish,
ways, and
this
it's a little bit
spineless-ish.
weird that
They
there's such
make
a complex on the left
excuses
that
and
excuse
coddle.
every single possible negative behavior from somebody,
It's-
as long as their skin color.
it's
that you're
really
kind of in
terrible,
charge of
man.
at that point.
I find that very offensive.
It's unlaudable.
I find it
It
extremely.
is offensive.
I-
Very offensive.
it upsets me to hear that
Condescending.
because we're just like you. We just have a different skin color.
That's
and to
it.
hear that you have to